So when we're like 5, we learn how to spell cat, right? C-A-T. And then you learn that the plural of cat is cats. You just add an S. But for some reason now, people are adding an apostrophe to denote a plural. I don't know why, and I see it everywhere. It's driving me crazy. So this is a picture that I actually took by a store by my apartment. Like, we print on tank tops. Like, why does the plural of top need an apostrophe? Like, I just don't understand. So that drives me nuts. And then here's one I took at the store by my house. If you can see that, bananas. 3 times in a row they threw an apostrophe in there to denote a plural of bananas. This one I actually went and I tried to talk to the manager about it, and he almost kicked me out of the store. Also, when you do network with people, follow up right away. Because, no one's ever going to think, oh my God, that person followed up too quickly, or that person's too organized. You want people to think that you're on the ball, that you go for things, that you're organized. So follow up and always say something specific about what you talked about. So I mentioned earlier, you could say, remember me, we both talked about how we love soccer or something. You also want to be careful not to talk over people. You don't want to steamroll people. Like, I know 2 people in particular where I have a hard time talking to them because we'll be having a conversation and they just talk at me. And I'm like trying to get in and, oh yeah, I remember when, and one time and that's all that I can say because they just steamroll the entire conversation. And I think in their mind, they're, sharing a lot of information and they're impressing me, but all I'm thinking is, oh my God, this guy doesn't realize that I'm trying to participate in this conversation. Also, you want to make sure that you're engaged in a professional situation. I went to an event in New York. It was a Northwestern alumni event, and it was about the future of China. So they had different experts. Like, one guy was an expert on Chinese technology, one was an expert on Chinese human rights, one was an expert on Chinese politics. And so based on what question was being asked, not all the panelists were involved in every answer. And there was this one guy at the end, there's 5 panelists, and when he wasn't involved in the answer, I thought he was going to fall asleep. Like, he looked so bored. And I was so embarrassed for him because he was completely damaging his professional reputation because he couldn't be bothered to be engaged and respectful to his fellow panelists. So no matter how bored you are, when you're in a professional environment and you want to demonstrate any sort of air of leadership, you need to just suck it up and act like you care. So first is LinkedIn. How many people here are on LinkedIn? Great, everyone's on LinkedIn, cool. Okay, so when you add people on LinkedIn, so I hope some of you will add me on LinkedIn, you can find my profile and then you click, add Maria. And when you do that, this generic thing pops up that says, I'd like to add you to my network on LinkedIn or whatever it is, and then it has your name. Delete that template and then fill it in with something like, hey Maria, I met you at the event yesterday. We talked about how we both like soccer, whatever it is, and then send that. Because I can't tell you how often I'll speak at an event and then the next day I'll get 20 LinkedIn requests and it's all the same generic thing. And I'm like, who are these people? I don't know who any of them are. Did I talk to them? I don't know who they are. And so taking like 5 seconds to delete that template and put something personal in there, it makes a really good impression. And when people do that to me, I accept them because I feel like it would be rude not to accept them because they took some time to tell me who they are and how we met. But if it's just they're just sitting there, click, 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 I get the feeling they're adding everybody in their address book. And I just ignore it because I think I don't want to be connected to someone who's that lazy professionally. And then when somebody does accept you, send them a note and say, hey, thanks for accepting me. It was so great talking to you. To refresh your memory, here's what I do. If you ever need a florist for your meeting or whatever it is that you do, tell them a little bit about yourself and maybe include a link to your website or whatever. You just don't want things to escalate. You don't want to be negative because when things are written down like that, you just never know where they can go. And, I'd hate for anyone in this room to basically take a cue from this girl's page and have regrets. But these things really do make a difference, and they really do impact how people perceive you and how they judge you. And I would hate for anyone in this room to miss out on a potential business opportunity because you spelled "you're welcome" wrong in an email. But it could happen, so I hope that it doesn't.